Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. And what is this video about? Well, I want to talk about this device here called the CC control. This is a new device in Live 12 and it seems to have sort of slipped under the radar a tiny bit. Probably because it's not exactly the most exciting looking or attractive looking thing compared to some other things like Meld or Raw, which have been getting lots of attention. But this I am quite interested in. And I thought at first this was a Max for Live device, but it's not. It's actually a brand new MIDI device in Ableton. And I believe what it's for is for sort of dial control over certain types of CC messages. I suspect that it's probably intended to be used with external MIDI hardware or something so that you've got like extra levels of control over certain types of MIDI messages. Or perhaps maybe you have a MIDI controller that doesn't have a mod wheel or a pitch bend, then you can still access those and kind of control them in real time rather than just have to use automation or something. And I thought this was very interesting because this is going to give you extra layers of control when doing wacky sound design, which we like to do on this channel, don't we? So I thought I'd try that right now with a sample inside Sampler. So Sampler has quite a lot, in fact I would say a reasonable abundance of modulation options. 3 LFOs, 1 looping aux envelope, and I believe that's it. But it's also got a handful of stuff that you can map MIDI to here, such as the pitch bend or the mod wheel, etc, etc. So let's try that. I've got a sample here of the baby reindeer lady.
I don't see how anyone could do 41,000 emails and all this kind of stuff, you know.
I thought this was an interesting quote because 41,000 emails is roughly the same amount of emails I get every day of people asking me if I've tried Bitwig or Touch Designer. So I sort of resonated with her a little bit when she made that statement. So I'm going to put that in here and I'm just going to sort of explore mangling this about a bit. With this new CC control, because yeah, if you're ever doing some sort of crazy sound design and you just want to modulate everything from from devices or from MIDI or something, you can actually sometimes run out of options, but not really if you use this CC control, because then what you can do is you can link some of these CC messages to things here and then control them with this device, which is very interesting. You actually get 16 controls and you can freely assign them to any MIDI message that you want. So for example, like if I drew in a clip here and we went to the envelopes page here and had a look at what do we got here? Yeah, so we go to MIDI control, then it's pretty much the same messages and options that you get here. These are all CC messages, but rather than draw them in with automation, you can control them from here. So I'm going to do that right now. So let's make a clip. Let's go back to notes and I'll just draw in a note here, stretch that out. And there's a fun little trick I learned. If you sort of loop this part, you can get a continuous MIDI note. So let's go back to the sampler and go to the sample page and put it to forward only sustain and fire that clip off. Let's see what we get. Nothing. Why? Oh, because I need to move the start position to the very start of the clip. So it's going to start from there, trigger the MIDI note, and then just keep looping because we've just put this loop brace inside. Let's have a listen.
I don't see how anyone could do 41,000 emails and all this kind of stuff, you know. I don't see how anyone
okay,
could
so
do
that's looping.
41,000 emails and all this
Come
kind
a little
of stuff,
bit
you know.
up a little
I don't
bit
see
here.
how anyone could do 41,000
Right, already that's starting to freak me out. So I'm just going to loop this time.
You know.
Loop this bit here. So let's find a nice loop point. Turn up the crossfade. Just leave that looping for a bit. I'll turn that down a bit. So right off the bat, we can maybe experiment with something like, let's assign the mod wheel, which we can control from this device here, to the loop start. Turn that all the way up. And then come back to the sample page. And if you kind of watch very closely, you'll see the orange line, which is the playhead of the sample. As I start to turn this.
41,000 emails and all this kind of stuff.
So we're getting some very strange granular stuff there. And, you know, we could have done this with the LFO, well, either one of these LFOs in here, because LFO 2 and LFO 3 you can freely assign to some other things. For example, I could have assigned it to the loop length, but I might want to save those modulation sources for further down my sound design process. So this is just, giving me a few extra sources. And now that we've done that, we can take the LFO here and I'll leave it on modulate for now and map that to the mod wheel. We can set the mod wheel to halfway at like 64 like that. Now that's kind of giving us a nice sweep either side of 64. Now we can scroll through the sound and we've got like a nice visual representation of that. Turn the rate down a little bit. All right. So I've also got pressure here. So this is generally something that comes after you've played a MIDI note from your keyboard or your controller or whatever. Like you press down a key or a pad and then you press again. It's aftertouch, I suppose. It's sort of, but we can use that. If you go to the MIDI page here and I turn this dial, you can see down here that this starts flashing and that's telling me, oh, I'm receiving some pressure information here. So I could maybe do something like route that to the loop length of my loop, turn that sort of all the way up, and then go back to the sample page, have a listen to this.
I don't see how anyone could do 41 emails.
And now that's increasing the loop length, which would essentially be this. So if we turn it all the way up, that's the full width of this. But if we turn it down, now we're kind of making this loop brace really small, like maybe this sort of size. And if we did that in the opposite direction, maybe minus, then turning it up will increase the loop length. Which sort of makes sense, actually. We'll go with that. All right, so now we've gone sort of weirdly robotic. Yeah, and if we slow this rate down on this LFO here, it's going to kind of be a little sort of, not glitchy, but incremental, because these like MIDI messages have like a resolution of 127. So we're not going to get like super smooth traveling through the wave type stuff. But that's all right. So let's take another LFO and route that to the pressure. Set the pressure here to 64. And maybe do like this stray waveform. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh my, right, okay, let's take the, let's make this into a chord now. Okay, let's increase the pitch bend range to 24 semitones. And let's get another LFO and assign it to this pitch bend macro. Let's have, where is it? Where is the LFO? There it is. Yeah, let's get that, put that one there, and then map that to the pitch bend, set the pitch bend to the center. This is actually, I wasn't sure about this modulation thing first, but I'm starting to get quite used to it. It's nice to be able to sort of flick certain things to the center. Nice. Let's increase the voices of the sampler and turn the why is it stopped? Okay, there we go. And let's make a really big chord here. Let's shift this by 5 and shift this by 6. We've got a 6 voice chord. Maybe we could strum it. Pretty mad. Let's put a limiter on the master output. Strum this this like even more.
I don't see a
Okay. All right. So now we've kind of, I mean, there's still a hell of a lot more stuff that we could explore here. Let's look at some of these. So we've got this foot control. What could we assign the foot control to? We could maybe assign it to, well, we've already done the pitch bend, sample, offset, filter, morph. Let's maybe, I tell you what, let's first of all go to the filter and turn the filter on, set the filter to morph, put the morph at roughly about, well, actually, let's put the frequency sort of halfway, turn the key down and find like a, let's maybe sort of set that there. And then let's assign these LFOs to some things in that filter. Perhaps maybe we could assign the LFO2 to the filter morph. Let's turn retrigger off and turn that all the way up. See what Okay, and let's assign LFO1 to the filter, because you can just do that really quickly like that. Turn retrigger off. Okay, very interesting. So what we could maybe do now, the thing is we've sort of, well, we've got one more envelope. Actually, let's see what we could do. We could maybe assign that to the resonance then of the filter. Turn that off, turn that down, and maybe turn this like all the way up and see what we kind of get. Now this morphing filter is really good. I really like it. Right, okay, so now so the thing is, if we wanted to say maybe modulate the rate of these LFOs, then we've kind of run out. We've run out of options, really. I mean, we've still got this orgs envelope, but let's stick with the theme. So let's see what other options we've got. We've got this foot controller, which I believe is message 4. So if I assigned this custom B here to message 4 and start turning that, you can see this foot controller thing is now receiving some MIDI. So I could say, oh, I want to route that to the rate of LFO2, turn that up. It's kind of a little bit hard to tell if that's really working. LFO rate 2.
I don't see how anyone.
Okay, that sounds like it's working a little bit more, yeah. So we could take another LFO and route this to this macro and again set that back to the center. And now we've kind of got an LFO controlling this, which is controlling the rate of this LFO, which is controlling the filter morph. Oh my god, it's so deep. It's just endless, isn't it? So there's a couple of MPE things here. I think this slide is an MPE thing. I'm still not really quite 100% there with MPE, but I couldn't find it in the list. So if anyone knows where that is, I thought maybe it might be this thing, MPE slide. But when I select it and turn the dial, I do in fact get nothing. So I don't know how to use this CC control thing to get something like slide or note pitch bend. I suppose note pitch bend makes a bit of sense, but slide, I guess that's on a per note basis. This is probably sort of old school MIDI, but it's in there. Some of these things are in there. If anyone knows, leave a comment. CC me into the 41,000 emails. Maybe we could do like the random pan. Oh, that's fun. Sampler never ever gets old. It's just brilliant. Maybe we could, what could we do with this? This is sort of, no, I don't think we would be able to use that for, let's have a look here. There's off velocity. Yeah, no, I think we've kind of actually used everything up now, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe I could use the pressure. So we get 2 destinations per source. Is there a filter envelope amount? No. Pitch envelope amount? No, that's okay. We can actually just use maybe old-fashioned MIDI. Set this to loop. And this is just assigned to the filter. Actually, let's try it with the pitch instead. Let's go to the pitch envelope. Set this to loop. Oh, yes. Okay, let's brick wall it a little bit with raw, just for a laugh, because everyone loves raw right now, don't they? Yeah, I mean, I could sort of listen to all this sort of stuff all day, but I'm... It's fun to sort of just watch the playhead move around, and these things kind of just... It's also... I get sort of sound design ASMR, just sort of going to this sort of trance, looking at these things, just going, ooh, ooh, woozing about. Well, oh God, I went into a bit of a trance. Anyway, I think you get the idea now. How long have I been going? 20 minutes. Okay. So yeah, this CC control thing is pretty interesting. It gives you a lot of extra control. In certain situations, you might not be able to actually have sort of clickable, playable access to a mod wheel or a pitch bend, but you want to kind of use them to apply some mod wheel or some pitch bend without using MIDI automation. You can do that right here. And you can use these other 16 banks of controls. There's one sort of just this button here, which is kind of interesting, which I guess you can, again, assign to anything you want. That's just assigned to the sustain, which is pretty good. So yeah, I think this is pretty interesting stuff. I wonder if there's like a way to get access to that envelope amount. Yeah, okay, that could be pretty interesting. I think maybe probably what I would have to do to access that is just map that to an LFO. So let's just get another LFO in and put that there, and then see what we can get by mapping the loop time of the pitch. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Not actually moving. Set it about halfway there or something. Yes, very interesting stuff for making turbulent sound design that sounds like bad weather or something, or watery thunder, I don't know. I think I've applied a little bit too much raw. Let's turn that off. There we go. Okay, I've got to stop. All right, so there you go. That is one way that you can use this new CC control to mess about with some samples, or indeed anything. Remember that there are other instruments that allow you to route certain MIDI messages to them. For example, operator, you can kind of route the mod wheel and the pitch bend to other things in this instrument, and this only has one LFO. So if you wanted to use the CC control to control some of that in conjunction with one of the LFOs, then you could say go to the mod wheel here and say, oh, I want to map that to the LFO rate of this LFO, and then you could control that there, and then you could assign an LFO to that, and then what you're going to get is, let's see what we get. Let's just draw in like a really low note here and legato that. Let's play it. So that's just a sine wave, but let's try it with like a sawtooth. And let's assign that to the filter. Did I even do that? LFO rate. Let's try it synced. I feel like is the mod wheel mapped to something else? No. Let's just turn the voices down. Oh yeah, you can kind of hear that. Let's increase the resonance. Okay. it like an idiot and turn up some raw. Let's maybe... There we go. That's an interesting shape. Yes, very good. All right, well, thanks for watching. I'm going to go and put this on my Patreon now, where you can download this set if you become a paid member, along with 800 super cool people who have done the same thing. And you'll get access to every other set, Max Patch, Ableton Live set, or whatever that I've posted on there, going back many, 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 many years. And of course, your support goes towards making more videos like this. I hope you enjoyed that. It was just a little silly sound design jam, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, do that as well. Don't forget to do that. Thanks. Bye.